Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here at the Southern District of New York Courthouse. Today, Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025. Yesterday, the verdict. Sarah Palin versus New York Times, round 2. Very fast verdict. 2 hours, not liable, the jury found. Now, you had to, as it should be, it's hard to win a defamation case. You have to kind of go 4 for 4. It's unclear to me how many. Did she go 2 for 4, 1 for 4? And this is in terms of actual malice, etc. In any case, on her way out, she was pretty classy. She said she's going back to Alaska. Not clear if she's going to appeal. We'll return to this this theme of appeal in just a moment. Now, right at the same time, it was called an oral argument, but it was basically a series of rulings and ramblings, not rantings, by Judge Alvin Hellerstein in the Alien Enemies Act / Tren de Aragua case. He has extended the TRO, and he's thrown some shade on the use of this law and the use of this old law, questioning whether it's actually a war. Now, all of this is going to be resolved higher up the food chain, so to speak. I covered it. I live tweeted it in real time. I think many people sort of saw Judge Hellerstein as kind of almost in a kind of a Boasbergian, that's James Boasberg of the DC Circuit, mode. I've covered both, and Boasberg seems to me to be like extremely sharp. I'm not saying Judge Hellerstein has not been sharp, but as in the first proceeding where the scope of the injunction was only decided at the last minute, there were several times where I feel that the DOJ lawyer was kind of like, I don't know, like, you're wrong on the law here, but there's not much to say. And of course, people that on another side say, like, it's just great however he's ruling, but there's a sort of a magic 8-ball character to it, which, anyway, we wrote it, and also on Substack, you can see the real views. Now, speaking of Second Circuit appeals, because I believe that will be appealed to the Second Circuit, if only to get to the Supreme Court. Bob Menendez, just after his wife Nadine's conviction on all counts, has written in to Judge Stein and said he wants a fast ruling on his still pending request for bail pending appeal, meaning he's been sentenced to 11 years. He hasn't set foot in the jail yet, but if he gets bail pending appeal, he may never forget the idea of a pardon, which some people are still talking about. Bail pending appeal works well. This worked for Trevor Milton. He got bail pending appeal, and the appeal took about 3 years, and ultimately he never sent a day in jail, did get a pardon. So Bob wants a ruling. He says enough in advance of his surrender date that he can appeal to the Second Circuit if he loses, which I believe he's not going to get it. I don't believe that Judge Stein is going to give him bail pending appeal, but I could be wrong. But having sat through the trial, having seen these various machinations, anyway, you never know. Hope springs eternal. Now, there was also another case in which Renan is suing Binance for its alleged role in October 7th, and it wasn't dismissed. Judge Kodal is allowing it to go forward. It's obviously connected thematically with UNRWA's role in October 7th, which the UN says they have total immunity. They have absolute total immunity, and the administration is rethinking its filing, which should be due this week, and we will be reporting in great detail. As a final UN news piece, we're banned from the UN, but we do cover it. And yesterday, in a sort of cover-up for UNRWA move, Antonio Guterres named Ian Martin to conduct a review of UNRWA. I think this is an attempt to keep the funding flowing. But who is Ian Martin? Now, we've covered him, and I think I've written a piece. He's by far not the worst UN official. In fact, here's tellingly. Now, he was the head of the UN in Libya when we got a leaked document of the UN's plan, which was very imperious. It obviously totally failed. Libya since then got only worse. That was the UN. But he was also in Nepal at one point, and he was overseeing the demobilization of the Maoist rebels. The idea is that the Maoists would get some money or some benefit from turning themselves in, but then non-Maoists began to get in line. So it was kind of fraudulent, and my sense of our reporting, this goes back some time, was that Ian Martin was one of those who felt, hey, if a few non-Maoists get compensated, it's well worth it for the peace, which is a good and very UN way to go, but it's not necessarily the approach you want to have if you're pretending to investigate UNRWA. It's sort of like he's good at covering things up. I don't know. We'll have to see. He's by far not the worst one, but I will say he saw when Guterres outrageously had Inner City Press banned for asking about his finances, and he did nothing. So he may believe in the UN too much and that may undermine his credibility on his UNRWA review. To be continued.